Hello everyone, welcome to Trial of the Controller. Recently a new trailer for Pokemon TCG Pocket has been released and it's set to be released on October 30th. From the look of it, it's going to be really different from the Pokemon TCG physical version. I think they're definitely going to use different cards and they are trying to create a different experience from the physical version. So today I want to focus on the gameplay. I want to go through the rules. The rules are very different from the current Pokemon TCG. Some of the cards, some cards are already released and we know what they do, and they give us a hint of the gameplay on how potentially Pocket is gonna work differently from the physical version. So in the end of the video, with all this information, I would like to do some small predictions on how the gameplay will look like in Pockets, like what decks will be used, what kind of decks, I guess what decks will look like in Pokemon Pocket. They are not set to release the ranked battles in TCG Pocket yet, but yeah, I think it will be nice to see if there was one, what kind of decks will be on there. So yeah, let's dig into it. So this is what the rules will look like. You can look at this board, and then you already noticed that there are only 3 benched Pokemon instead of 5. There will be 20 cards in the deck, and each same card, the same name card, can only have 2 copies. There's actually also a hand limit, which doesn't exist in current TCG rule, that you can only have 10 cards maximum at hand. The goal of the game is to get 3 points, so those are the prize cards, except that in the digital version there wouldn't be prize cards, it's just point, right? You knock out a Pokemon, you get a point. If you knock out an EX Pokemon, you get 2 points. Yes, as easy as that, and then whoever gets 3 points wins. So it will either be 3 normal Pokemon or 1 Pokemon, 1 EX Pokemon, but I think, very commonly you also get just 2 EX Pokemon because your opponent just put an EX Pokemon out there, actually get 2 points. So very, very common. And then you draw 5 to start. Now that's smaller than the 7 in TCG, normal TCG, but considering you only have 20 cards in the deck, that's a quarter of the deck, right? So you are already drawing a good portion of your deck. And then just one kind of more niche rule, that there's no deck out, that if you cannot draw a card in the end of your turn, you don't lose. You just don't draw a card and keep going, which is different from, again, like in current TCG, if you cannot draw a card at the start of your turn, you lose. So that's that. Basic rules. There's a very notable change that if you notice this wheel, I guess down below you can see closer that those things are called energy zones. And then if you notice that there seems to be no energy cards, you're right, there's no energy cards. Instead, they're just energy zones that will, it seems to be that it will generate 1 energy per turn, and the energy it generates depends on the types of Pokemon you have in your deck. I don't know if it's just proportional to the types in the deck or something, but it will generate according energies per turn, and you can just attach from the energy zone to your Pokemon, and then they just look like this, like as they are attached. So yeah, that's definitely a big difference, that you don't have energies crowding out your deck. Otherwise, like drawing 5 cards, if it's 5 energy, then I don't think the game can continue. So it completely removes that from your deck, and I think in an attempt to make the game more streamlined. Now, yeah, it will be an interesting point that because most strong attacks cost 3 or more energy to attack, so definitely like how quickly you can attach energy is interesting to see in this new TCG game. Now let's go to the turn order. Obviously someone will start, but the starting players usually have some penalties. In a normal TCG, it will be that they cannot attack any kinds of attack, even those that don't do damage. And then they cannot play supporter cards. Now, supporter cards are those trainer cards that are supposed to be more powerful than the item cards, and you can only use once per turn. But in normal TCG, if you start first, you cannot use supporter card, which is a very significant restriction, and is a reason why some people choose to go second in a normal TCG. Now, in Pocket, you can play supporter cards, but there are other things you cannot do. You cannot draw. This is very, very surprising. Like, you can't draw. Very, very big drawback. You cannot attack as expected, and actually you cannot attach energy. Now, if this game is to be hard to attach energy, this will be kind of significantly slowing you down, right? Like, you get to play Pokemon, you get to evolve or whatever, but you just have one less energy, which potentially delays your attack by one turn. So it's almost like, getting evolution Pokemon take turns, right? And in the normal TCG, this is basically kind of many mechanisms are centered on how to get big Pokemons out really quickly. But then here, yes, if you start first, you can get the evolution Pokemon out quicker, but then they just don't have the energy to attack. They might need 3 energy, 4 energy to attack, and then you just have 1 energy short than your second starting opponent. So definitely a big thing to consider here, depending on how many evolutions you need for your deck. Different strategies, but very, very important exceptions for sure. And then the game is advertised to be short because it's mobile. Like, maybe they're imagining that on the bus or something, you can just play, and then in several minutes you end the game. But each player actually does have 20 minutes maximum to play, so you could still drag out the game maybe, but we'll see if that's the case. So that's mostly it about the rules. Now we can think about, again, it's very nice to draw comparison from the normal TCG, because that's basically how we imagine Pokemon TCG works until now, right? So in normal TCG, that you basically have a bunch of bench Pokemons that you don't use them to attack. They're basically just chilling here, but they have abilities that help you, right? Say by barrel, very common, that they allow you to draw up to 5 until you have 5 cards in your hand per turn, which is very powerful. Some decks, you basically always want 2 by barrel sitting on your bench. But here, there are actually not that many Pokemon revealed with abilities. Definitely not with draw abilities, with some abilities. So, like the Gardevoir here, once during turn, you may take 1 psychic energy from your energy zone and attach it to the psychic Pokemon in the active spot. So it's basically what normal Gardevoir does. Gardevoir EX, which can attach from this energy from discard, but also gives 20 damage to that Pokemon as often as you want. So it's kind of a weakened version of that, and potentially this accelerates the energy, which you would probably need badly in Pokemon Pocket. I think I'll go through more about abilities when we look at the cards and see what the deck might look like. But this will conclude our session on the rules. So here we have all the cards revealed so far. We definitely have the packs, and then the packs actually indicate what kind of cards are more likely to be in there. I don't know if it's true for the normal version, but definitely here, I guess it's easier to do on the digital version. So this deck probably has a higher chance of getting Mewtwo, and then this Charizard, and then Pikachu. They definitely reuse some of the illustration. Say the Primate, they use the original version, but then they give it different effects, potentially to balance out some attacks. And and then as usual, the same card can have different rarity. So it's a Bulbasaur, like this cute Bulbasaur, but if you go way down, I mean way down. And then you can see, yeah, some of the fancier illustration. So this Bulbasaur looks exactly the same like what it does to the original Bulbasaur, but obviously much cooler. So yep, potentially that's what we'll be spending money on. But just in terms of gameplay, so let's look at the cards and see what they do. So the first thing, I mean, yes, you have those cards, and then yes, Venusaur EX. I don't know if this is a normal Venusaur. Probably there is. Not sure. But yeah, so this is the kind of buffness that they have, right? Like they usually need 3 or 4 energy, and then the 3 energy is a weaker attack. The 4 energy, like this one is super strong, right? That you hit 100 and then you heal 30 from this Pokemon. So potentially it's a tanky like healing grass Pokemon. I mean, this is basically how grass Pokemon works, right? They are tanky and they heal themselves so that they never faint. Notably, if you look closely here, the weakness, you have fire plus 20. So again, it's different from the normal cards that weakness is times 2. So if attack hits you for 100, then on you it will be 200, and then the resistance will be minus 20. So here we don't have resistance, but the weakness is plus 20, which is pretty reasonable. Like double is probably too strong. It obviously draws from the video game, but I mean, if you want to make a game that kind of makes more sense, like I think plus 20 makes sense. So, but yeah, that's basically what the tanky Pokemon, I guess, a final stage Pokemon look like, and potentially what you are aiming for. But yeah, actually, before I go through, let's look at some of the abilities. So yeah, so far there are 4 Pokemon with abilities. So one of them is Greninja. So Greninja, once you return, you may do 20 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon, which is good. And also it can do damage on bench Pokemon, which is usually why it's good that they usually have like less HP, right? So 3 turns, and then you just take 1 more point, which is great if they don't evolve it. We already saw Gardevoir. I don't know if there are other ones that are worth mentioning. Let's see. So I guess the third card is Pidgeot. So you might switch out your opponent active Pokemon to the bench, and they choose the new active Pokemon. This is kind of like a boss's order, but they choose a new active, which seems weaker, but then they also only have 3 bench Pokemon. So pretty much there's a higher chance you get the Pokemon that you want. Definitely weaker, but good ability. Yeah. So before we dive into I guess now we see all the Pokemon with abilities. There doesn't seem to be that many Pokemon with the big draw ability. So it's less likely that you have kind of a full bench and trying to draw from their ability. But it's still pretty good, right? They're still like those 2 abilities are still, I guess all of the abilities reveals are still pretty good. That say if you have 3 Greninja on your bench, right? Then each of them just do 20 damage. Like it didn't say that you can only use 1 Water Shuriken. It just means that this Pokemon can only use once per turn. So if you have 3 Greninjas on the bench, then you just keep doing damage. So I guess this will be kind of broken. Actually, you cannot have that because you can only have 2 copies of the same Pokemon. But I would say this is still very good for any water Pokemon deck, right? Like you just have 2 Greninjas sitting there doing 40 damage per turn, and then yeah, it's a pretty good situation to be in. And then also Gardevoir is less clear because it will probably be pretty expensive in the pocket. That to get a Gardevoir you need to draw Ralt and then Kirlia and then Gardevoir. So you have to draw 6 cards and then like those exact 6 cards. I mean, there might be some trainer cards that help you. That there's actually talking about trainer cards. I'll talk about trainer cards later. But it does seem like although this ability is pretty good, but probably Greninja. Oh, actually, Greninja. Oh, sorry, it's a stage 2. I'm so used to the Radiant Greninja. Also, okay, it's also a stage 2. Yep, so both of them are expensive. Actually, all of them are stage 2 Pokemon. Okay, I take back what I said, but I guess they give powerful abilities to only stage 2 Pokemon, which makes sense. Yeah. But they're pretty good. So let's look at the trainer cards. All the trainer cards so far. So there's a Pokeball. Actually, it says put one random basic Pokemon from your deck. I was thinking it's almost exactly like the Nest Ball, which puts a basic Pokemon you decide to your bench. But it seems like here it's put one random basic Pokemon. So this is the interesting thing about the digital version, that it can do a lot of things that are difficult to do or like cumbersome to do in physical TCG, right? So think about how you're gonna enforce it in the physical version. You have to it troubles me already by thinking about it. So you have to get all the basic Pokemon out of your deck, which takes what, 3 minutes? 2 minutes for a person with fast hands. And then you shuffle those basic Pokemon. You get one, and then you need to shuffle all the basic Pokemon back to the deck. If you don't have stellar shuffling skills, then your basic Pokemon probably all end up like in the on the bottom, on the top, and then you just completely destroys your deck. So this is like, it will be very difficult to enforce this in physical TCG, but it's digital. Like, they don't care. They just like have a random seed and put one. So it's interesting how they can do different things in the digital. But in terms of the effect, that it definitely gives more randomness. Obviously, to the game, that you don't get to control which basic Pokemon that, oh, you really want to build out this Venusaur, but hey, you draw an Oddish. Good luck. So this potion, typical item, but definitely 30 damage is significant in this game. And then I think so. Erika, pretty similar. It's just because it's a supporter, so it's more powerful. I guess it works well with the grass type. They will just never die. Although supporters don't have types, it's fine. So Brock is interesting that you take one fighting energy from your energy zone and attach it to Golem or Onyx. So I guess it makes sense that Bronx only uses Golem or Onyx. That's kind of what Brock does. He's also the first gym leader, so I guess it makes sense. But the thing is that all supporters should have sort of equal strength, right? So if this is the most you're willing to give to a supporter, you probably wouldn't expect a lot of supporters to have nor items, because like supporters are supposed to be better than items. So you'll be expecting very few trainer cards which can attach energy from energy zone, right? So basically each turn you get one energy attach, and unless you have Gardevoir or like Brock, you're really gonna build a Golem Onyx. I guess it's fine. Maybe they are good. But I think energy acceleration will be quite more harder. I guess what's the right way to say it? Anyway, quite more difficult to achieve. So you really kind of, each turn you attach energy, you have nothing to do, and then you pass to your opponent, they attach energy and they pass back to you, and then you attach energy until you have enough to attack. And then, so I guess the base evolution and the stage 1 attacks are more important because you can only attach gradually, right? So then you might as well attack with them. The Pokemon Professor Oak is, usually it's discard your hand and draw 7 cards. Here, probably not. So there's rumor that it would be a draw 2, like a bill. As in, it's a very old card that nobody, I don't think it exists in normal TCG, but it might be a draw 2 or draw 3, which is like a meager effect in normal TCG, but it will be good here. You don't have other draw powers anyway. You might as well deal with this. And then Sabrina, switch out your opponent's active Pokemon. So this is the exact same effect as Pidgeot ability. But of course, it's like a Buster's Order, right? That you can just get the card and play instead of having to evolve your Pigeon to Pidgeot. Yeah. Actually, now I'm curious. Like, did they talk about Golem? Doesn't say what it does. I guess that card hasn't been revealed. Nothing that we to grasp. It's fine. Yeah. So this is kind of, I guess all I know so far, and it seems to be all the information you can find on the internet. So far they have revealed, but based on what we already know, I think we can make some interesting predictions of the pocket. Now the time will prove that if I'm completely wrong, but that's a good thing about predictions, right? You get to make them, and then only see if you're right later on. So, what would decks look like in Pokemon TCG Pocket? Well, to start with, there will be very few draw powers, right? There are less Pokemon with ability to draw cards. The trainer cards that draw cards tend to be less useful. Like it's not discard and draw 7. It might be like draw 2 and you use 1 supporter. So your draw power is limited, and then also like the Pokeball that you can get a random basic Pokemon, but not like a given one, right? So it's not clear whether they will give you Pokeball that or items that lets you get a particular Pokemon or a particular item. Like they could just all be random following Pokeball, because they cannot offer. In the later version maybe, but at least in the release they cannot offer you something that is much more powerful than the Pokeball as an item, right? Because that will make Pokemon useless. So yeah, I think it's reasonable to guess that a lot of things just let you get random Pokemon, or maybe get a Pokemon at a high price, like discard your hand. That would be too much, but probably not discard 2, probably not in all trouble. But with that all being said, what does it mean? So I'm guessing that, if you play any normal TCG and anything close to meta has very few Pokemon and very few energy, that it's mostly trainer cards, right? Like, it makes sense to have less energy, because energy is kind of useless when you cannot attach them, right? They just jam your hand. Like, you just have a hand of energy, you cannot do anything. So it makes sense that most decks are light on energy. But it's kind of funny to have a Pokemon TCG, but all the meta decks, just half of it is like trainer cards, right? It's like the trainer cards are the most important, because they are useful, right? You can make them get Pokemon. You can make them basically with enough trainer cards. Well balanced trainer cards. You can almost guarantee to get a stage 2 Pokemon, a Charizard, Roaring Moon EX at like your turn 2, almost guaranteed, right? With like, you don't need good luck. You just don't. If you don't have bad luck, just get them turn 2. And I think maybe this game is trying to revert some of that. That they want to kind of go back to the Pokemon heavy deck. That trainer cards are really there just to assist you, but really you want the decks of Pokemon, right? If you look at those, like, it wouldn't be crazy to have a deck of 20 Pokemon in this deck, right? You just play a Pokemon and then hope you draw the evolution. Obviously, if you want to invest in the Pokemon line, you need two of each, right, to maximize your chance of drawing. Even with that, it will be difficult. I guess you cannot guarantee to make a stage 2 Pokemon with all 2, if that's the best you can do, right? That they're basically less than 1/2 of the chance that in the first 10 cards you ever get, you'll get like a set of 3, and then even if you do get a set of 3, you get Bulbasaur, Ivysaur, Venusaur. That if you get that at turn 5, it's not gonna be that useful. You still have to attach energy to it, and that's 4 more turns without any energy acceleration. So, given that, I think the game may be slightly biased toward like a basic Pokemon or stage 1 evolution. Like for example, Arcanine seems pretty good. It's 150 HP and then it does 120 damage. It does do 30 damage to itself, but 20 damage to itself. But like if you don't have a strong contender, it can be there for a while. And then it's easy to get. Like if you get that, and then your opponent doesn't have. Imagine that they have a Rapidash, right? Like how many Rapidash you can knock out. But then if you have that, and then maybe Flareon. I don't think the EV would tell. Actually, that's another thing that can be interesting. That would the meta prefer, if there's a meta, would the meta prefer like same type Pokemon to just guarantee that you always have the right energy, or you can have different type Pokemon to make use of the weakness. That's kind of interesting. Because like now weakness was meaningful, but with the super acceleration of anything, it's almost always better to make something big first without having to worry about the type. But now, like, you cannot make anything big in early turns. Maybe it does make sense because the retreat cost is kind of fine, right? It's like 2 or 1 for basic, so it may feel like a single like a Pokemon video game that you each have one Pokemon, and then you notice that, oh, I'm a weaker type, so then I'm just gonna switch out. Could be that experience. Most things have a retreat cost of 1, and then you're guaranteed to be able to attach an energy per turn. So it could be something. And then on the type discussion, there are a lot of types. There are a lot of energy that kind of is arbitrary energy. So it wouldn't be that bad. Like say your deck has 2 types, it wouldn't be that bad that you draw the wrong type of energy because you can still fill one of them, right? I think Charizard has 2 fire and 2 white energy. So yeah, it will be easy to get even if you have 2 types. Having more than 2 types may not be that good, but having 2 types might be fine. Yeah, so I'm guessing that it's still slightly biased toward just having basic and maybe stage 1 Pokemon. I still think Arcanine is good, and then I think there's a Moltres. I do think there's a Moltres somewhere. But yeah, Arcanine with Moltres would be nice. Where's Moltres? Here, yeah. So, right. So Moltres, it has a really nice acceleration actually. So you just kind of put in the attack spot. It is an EX though, so you're sacrificing an EX to do the energy acceleration, which is a little bit risky. But I mean, if they cannot KO you in 2 turns, then definitely do 2 Infernal Dance, and then the 3rd turn it has 2 energy already. You retreat it, but then you have gained enough energy for Arcanine or something, or just Heat Blast, or just attach in Heat Blast if you can KO them. So that would make sense. I can see a synergy there, but my guess is that there are many small synergies like that, and then maybe this game, the way they designed it, it's not that, oh, there are like 5 metas there, and then you just want to get one of the meta and be very good at it, and then you can win the game. That's, I mean, in my understanding, that's how current TCG works. But maybe this game is really gonna try to give you kind of a more nostalgic experience, the similar kind that you have in game, like if you've ever played the Game Boy Pokemon TCG game, which is great, very very good experience. Maybe they really want to be like that, right? Like you're not chasing for I mean, maybe you have something in mind, right? Like, I really want to use Venusaur, but you're not really chasing for any meta. You are just kind of get cards along the way. You get 2 free packs each day, right? So you just open 2 packs and then you're, there's a good Pokemon, or like, I actually get Eevee in one of its evolution. That would be cool to use that. So then you just add them in your deck, and then it works to some extent, right? Basically, in this format, almost any 20 Pokemon cards work. I mean, obviously you want to have 2 copies of each type to maximize the chance of evolution and stuff, but really, like, it works. You don't have to have the fine balance between trainer cards, energy, and Pokemon. Just most combinations seem to work. So yeah, just get cards, and then if you see something that matches your existing deck, you just add them in, and then you do some battles with your friend, trade cards. Maybe they are just really trying to recreate the trading card game experience that they created in the first hand, but somehow, it morphed into today. I'm not saying like today normal TCG is bad, right? I think it's very good in the sense that, you try to get good at it, and then people keep inventing metas. Like, you can have surprising decks at the World Championship. That's how versatile the Pokemon TCG is. But, maybe there are some more casual players, and then, I mean, in some sense, we're all casual players, right? Like, we just want to get cards, trade cards with friends, and then just battle with them. Like, not too serious. It's just like, have a Pidgeot. I'm gonna attack. I'm gonna switch your Pokemon out. It's kind of fun and I don't know, a bit lighthearted, less serious. Yeah. But anyway, I feel like that's the kind of experience maybe they want to create with the Pokemon TCG Pocket. We'll see how it goes. Like, maybe 20 years later, we'll just have all the good trainer cards again, and then they'll have an AR, VR version of the Pokemon card. Sure, whatever. But at least right now, this game, it seems that they're trying to recreate the original experience to make it less serious, definitely more random. So if you are kind of a professional player, and then you just want to, you really want to be able to consistently make something good at turn 2 or 3, then I don't think this game so far doesn't seem to have any mechanism that allows you to do that, right? It seems like you just need the right draw to make even a Venusaur. Actually, that's the thing. That's one thing that happens a lot in the current TCG game, is that nobody cares about. I mean, if your deck is built on a stage 2 Pokemon like Gardevoir, actually Gardevoir is not a very good example because Curlia does something. The Charizard, right? Like, your deck is Charizard Pidgeot, then nobody cares about the stage 1 evolution, right? Like, they basically try to get rid of it as soon as possible. The most common way is rare candies. Like, you just get rare candies, get Charizard, and then you just put rare candy on your Charmander, and then boom, Charizard, hey, and then Inferno, the ability I forgot, but it gets 2 energy accelerated to Charizard. So, hey, turn 2, you have a Charizard 4 energy ready to attack. Great. But stage 1 Pokemon in this case is basically ignored, right? Like, well, the most use they have is what? Like, you have a technical machine evolution, and then that's kind of the faster way you evolve it. But you almost never use them if they don't have an ability. You just don't attack with them. But in this game, I mean, it's kind of slow, right? If there's one kind of prediction I'm willing to make, is that they wouldn't give you candy on October 30th. You will just not have candy. They may have supporter that makes you evolve, but there won't be rare candies, I'm guessing, right? They really want to kind of make the middle evolution to be meaningful again. That, remembering the old game that, even when Bulbasaur evolves into Ivysaur, that's kind of cool because, you gain some attack power, and then you gain some HP. Actually, the HP gain is not even that meaningful. It used to be 40 to something. Anyway, so then it becomes tankier, and then you get to attack with it. Like, you still enjoy the stage 1 evolution for a little bit. And I think that will happen in Pokemon TCG Pocket, I think. So yeah, so that's my thoughts. Obviously we need to wait until the end of October to find out, but yeah, I think it could be a fun game. It looks like it's on the way. Like, they're trying to design it to be a fun game. I mean, the same way they design any games. But yeah, let me know what you think. Feel free to comment below anything I didn't say right. I'm mistaken. Please comment below. And then yeah, thank you for watching through this video.